Who is the undisputed kingpin of Mount Kenya between Gachagua and Uhuru? Different answers to that question are fueling division in Mount Kenya. According to Honorable Wamuchomba, Uhuru Kenyatta is undisputed kingpin of the mountain. However, those who support Gachagua believe that it is Gachagua who is the kingpin. This debate reveals that there is power struggle in Mount Kenya between Jubilee Party and DCP Party. Jubilee is for Uhuru and DCP is for Gachagua, and that power struggle can split the mountain vote. I want us to break down a long tweet from Wamuchomba castigating Gachagua. This analysis will help us understand the power struggles in Mount Kenya and also understand the character of Gachagua. Additionally, it will inform us how 2027 politics is likely to play out in Mount Kenya region. Wamuchomba tweeted on 29th September 2025 at 6:31. It is disheartening to see mountain people attacking each other for political competition. This entitlement is too much. Before DCP, there was Jubilee, UDA, DP, and others. Nobody has the monopoly of the 8 million mountain votes we said before at Upangwingwi. What is clear here is that Gachagua wants to control the entire mountain. He wants the entire 8 million votes to belong to him. So meaning he wants all leaders, to rally behind him with the total disregard of parties like Jubilee and others from the mountain. So Gachagua is not using persuasion. Instead, he is seemingly bullying all leaders from Mount Kenya to rally behind him. And this is not coming out for the first time. We've heard it before. We've heard it from Cecil Mbarire saying that, okay, if you want us to support you, sometimes persuade. But seemingly, Gachagua is not someone who is good at persuasion. Instead, he commands. He just tells you, follow this route, and he automatically wants you to comply with that. And the likes of Wamuchomba, who are actually Jubilee members, feel that that is not the case, because right now Gachagua is not reaching out to Jubilee Party, for instance, to seek partnership. Instead, he wants all those leaders in Jubilee just perhaps even to collapse their party and join DCP and support him. Honestly speaking, this cannot happen without a framework where these two, that is DCP and Jubilee Party, agree to work collaboratively for 2027. Hear me out. President Uhuru is determined to keep Jubilee Party alive. That is it, because this is a party that he used in 2017 to ascend to power or to seek re-election. So this is a party that has been in power. But for DCP, it just started recently, and Uhuru has been president. So there's no way someone who served as deputy president for 2 years can come to the region and try to control everything and try to bully you. That is impossible. So that is why I find Gachagua sometimes too overreaching or too overbearing, and without the use of art of persuasion, then the mountain is likely to split ahead of 2027, because for Jubilee, they also have to try their best to make sure they get something from the region. And here, if Gachagua doesn't reach out to Jubilee and try to resolve issues that have been putting them apart, then it will be difficult for him to have total control of Mount Kenya ahead of 2027. Her tweet continues, Uhuru Kenyatta is the undisputed kingpin of the mountain, and he didn't force it on us. At least in his 10 years rule, with all his flaws, he was never impeached and never impeached his deputy. He unified the country. He is now at liberty to blaze anybody to take over from him, even if it is not me. Wamuchomba here is trying to draw a comparison between President Uhuru and Gachagua. So according to her, Uhuru was more powerful than Gachagua and remains more powerful than Gachagua. So because of that, Gachagua should not self-impose himself on people. Instead, he should at least try to reach out to other people. And the issue of impeachment here is a reminder to Gachagua that, remember this, you are not a unifying factor like President Uhuru, and that's why you are impeached. And because of that, try at least to tone down and talk to other people rather than just bullying people. So that is a message that Gachagua perhaps should reflect reflect on and see how he can work with President Uhuru and allow other leaders or people of Mount Kenya to exercise that freedom of association rather than labeling those who are not reading with him from the same script enemies of the region. She further said, and if all what was said about him during swearing in of KK government is true, why do you want to inherit his messy party? Kwani inheritance is given by force. Attacking Uhuru is despising Kiambu and Kenya at large. I thought we learned a lesson after the Mbuzi stealing episode. Let it be clear, you attack Uhuru, you attack Kiambu County, and we are watching. Okay, what we are seeing here is that there is an attempt from Gachagua's side to take over Jubilee, but it is becoming impossible. As I mentioned previously, you can't do that. Uhuru is a powerful man, and there's no way Gachagua can take Jubilee from President Uhuru. And also, it is true, Gachagua, while in power, he had President Uhuru, took his goats or sheep and all that, and that has not been forgiven. And remember this, I remember at some point Jeremiah Kioni said that as much as they will forgive Gachagua, they will never forget what Gachagua did to Uhuru when he was in power. So that is one thing that I expected Gachagua at least to tone down and be respectful enough, because kwenda na kifua haitamsaidia. Let me read the final section of the tweet. If Uhuru is betraying you by quoting Dr. Matiang'i, when did you sit and agree with him that you are the next in the line? We are in a democratic country and we all have rights to associate. Kiambu County is not a colony of Nyeri, and with much respect to Nyeri people, this trajectory of demeaning leaders must not be allowed. Uhuru is admired by all and is a statesman. We should all work hard to outdo him. At Senator Malala and co. must stop these careless talks about Uhuru Kenyatta. Respectfully, Wamuchomba, daughter of Githunguri. Okay, my pronunciation for that may be a little bit off. You know, I really find it difficult to pronounce that, but that's okay. Now, this is the point. Gachagua is not respectful, and Gachagua has a problem with President Uhuru supporting Matiang'i, and that is why there is this careless talk where President Uhuru's name is dragged through mud, where President Uhuru is attacked here and there. And this is something that people who are close to President Uhuru cannot allow. And also, it is now coming out clearly that Gachagua has never reached out to President Uhuru to seek his blessings, given that President Uhuru has been a senior ranking person in that region. It makes sense that Gachagua reaches out to President Uhuru, but he hasn't done that. Instead, he went ahead and built his party, and after that, he declared himself the leader of the region. And now he is forcing everyone to support him, and anyone that goes against that is labeled, perhaps as I mentioned, an enemy of the people, especially of the mountain. So, what do you think of this? And is Gachagua right to continue attacking President Uhuru and also attacking Matiang'i indirectly just because Matiang'i is working with President Uhuru? Why can't he tone down? And we all understand that Gachagua wants to consolidate the mountain vote against President Ruto, which is a good thing. But why can't he allow the freedom of association? Why can't he persuade President Uhuru? Why can't he just sit down with him and have a conversation and finally agree? Because Matiang'i has been part of them, rather than, getting into these personal attacks that will eventually, for sure, lead to a terrible outcome that will favor President Ruto. Because at the end of it, if this is not resolved, what will happen is Jubilee will field perhaps Matiang'i as a presidential candidate. That will definitely split the Mount Kenya vote. At the end of it, the person that will leverage that is President Ruto, and that perhaps can hand President Ruto victory or re-election in 2027. What do you think of what Wamuchomba said? Should Gachagua tone down and reach out to President Uhuru respectively and restore their relationship?